Hi, welcome to the program, the Aaron Michael Show, short edition, news, notes, and commentary from the world of Wisconsin sports. AaronMichaelShow@gmail.com is the email address. Also, at Wisconsin Aaron on Twitter. And you can vote in our poll today, by the way, which Packer quarterback do you want cut? That is the question. Kaiser, Boyle, or, of course, Rodgers. That's up there. Packers and Ravens tonight at 6:30 with the kickoff. We'll get back to that in a minute. We got to talk about this Brewer team. So the Brewers get the win yesterday afternoon over the Twins, but it boggles my mind how anyone can watch this team every day and think to themselves, this is a good team. There are no good teams who make it this hard on themselves every single game. The Brewers are an average team with the ability to be good, but they are no contender right now. Let me clarify what I mean when I say contender. That means that I don't think that they can contend to go to or win the World Series. The shoddy bullpen, the extreme inconsistent offense, the lack of good starting pitching that you can rely on, especially when it's going to come to the playoffs, the mental and physical errors that are committed almost daily, those things catch up to you in a pennant race. And they haven't completely caught up to the Brewers yet because they're in a division with a couple of other average teams ahead of them. Now, I'm not just railing on the Brewers. I don't think the Cardinals are a good team. I don't think the Cubs are the closest thing to a good team, but they can't win games on the road. And that isn't the mark of a good team either. So the Brewers are still alive. Now, I don't think that the Brewers will make the playoffs, but if by some miracle they do, they will not compete to go to or to win the World Series. There's no way that they're going to get past the Dodgers or the Braves. That's just not happening. And I'm not the only one who says that about the NL Central, by the way. Yesterday on the game broadcast on YouTube, Dan Plesac was on there, and he was commenting on how he thought that the NL Central, to him, was the most disappointing division this season because it should have been one of the deepest ones, including with the Pirates, and they just really tanked since the All-Star break. But the Brewers have been a disappointment, and the Cardinals are not doing their Cardinal-like things, and the Cubs obviously are disappointing too. It's been a weak division. That's why the Brewers are still alive. That's why they're still in it. So anyways, I'm reading the game story from yesterday on Brewers.com from Adam McKelvey. It starts off talking about Grisham's home run. And by the way, I am really glad that the Brewers brought Grisham up. And I'm glad that they brought up Hira earlier in the season and that they've had both of them stick around. So many times teams are afraid to bring up successful prospects too early in their career. It's somehow going to damage them and whatnot. But I'll tell you this, it's nice to see that these young guys who have come up, they've had success, and that their success that they've had in the minors has translated at the major league level. It's fun to watch, and when you watch Grisham and Hira, you have something to look forward to in your future. Those guys are a big part of the future, especially Hira, but Grisham as well if he keeps on performing. Craig Counsell said about the young guys, this is what he said, this is what Counsell said. He said, they're getting great opportunities in fun baseball in a playoff chase. I kind of had to laugh when I read that quote because if there's one guy who has looked like he has not been having any fun all season, and rightfully so, it's been Craig Counsell. He looks miserable every time I see him, which, like I said, makes sense. He doesn't think that they're playing like a good baseball team, even when they're winning. He looks miserable. Here's the stat, folks, of not a good team. McAlvey on Brewers.com. Grisham provided some relief from what had been another frustrating day for Brewers hitters in scoring opportunities. Going into that inning, they were 3 for 14 with runners in scoring position in the game, 9 for 51 on the homestand, and 20 for 100 in August. That is horrible. They're 20 for 100 in August with runners in scoring position? That's another mark of a not good team. I'm not going to say they're a bad team. They're above 500. I guess they can't be a bad team. but they're average. It's the mark of an average team. You do some things well, you squeak out some wins, you stay just a little bit above 500, but there you get some really ugly-looking stats like 20 for 100 with runners in scoring position so far this month. So Albers makes it as hard as possible yesterday to get the win. Claudio comes in and gets the first out of the ninth. Then Albers comes in and gets out number 2 before walking the bases loaded and then finally getting the last out. And that's the example yesterday of how good teams do not make it that hard on themselves. And quickly, yesterday, the folks in the Brewer media came running to the defense of Albers and really taking a backhanded shot at fans for getting upset because of the atrocious pitching of Albers. There's just some guys who cover the Brewers on Twitter that were mentioning, well, the fans got upset, but it was just Albers trying to work around the batter. He was trying to work around Rosario. Well, they didn't mention anything in their analysis of this about the fact that Albers walked the first 2 guys. If he truly wanted to get around Rosario, you intentionally walk the guy. And I agree that probably Fat Albers didn't want to give Rosario anything to hit. But if he was truly trying to work around him with 2 outs in a 1-run game with the tying run on second base, you're going to intentionally walk him. Especially once you get to a 2-0 or for sure a 3-0 count. Now think about it, ladies and gentlemen. If you're trying to work around the guy and it's a 3-0 count with the tying run on second base and you truly want no part of the hitter, you're not going to mess around and accidentally throw one into the hitting zone. You're going to intentionally walk him. But the Brewer media getting on the fans for being upset. And the Brewer fans yesterday, they reacted exactly how you should react to somebody walking 3 straight batters and throwing 11 straight balls. And I love the huge Bronx cheer, like the 30-second standing ovation when Fat Albers finally threw a strike again. I laughed. It was great. Nice job, Brewer fans. I applaud you. While the other people in the media try to put you down. It's too loud. They just weren't. The crowd was upset. No crap. The guy threw 11 straight balls and walked the bases loaded. Yeah, fans were pissed off. What do you expect? And they should be. You should boo when you walk 3 straight guys and when you throw 11 straight balls. You should be booing. You should give a loud Bronx cheer when you finally throw a damn strike, too. All right, to Twitter we go and the Green Bay Packers poll question update. Let's see here. We'll have to hit refresh on the official show computer. Packer fans, as the tweet says, your chance to play GM. Right now, who do you cut? Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Kaiser, Tim Boyle. 216 votes at the moment, 4 hours left to vote. Right now, 64% of you say that you would cut Deshaun Kaiser. 64% cut Kaiser. 19% say cut Boyle. And 17% cut Aaron Rodgers. Must be a large amount of Bear fans and Viking fans who are following along today. So that is interesting, but 64% say cut Deshaun Kaiser. And we'll see what all those quarterbacks do tonight. Rodgers in the first-team offense expected to get about a quarter of playing time. Aaron Jones should be the only key player missing. Speaking of the backup quarterback spot, someone has to explain this to me. If Mike McCarthy was such a quarterback guru, why have the Packers not had a competent backup quarterback since Matt Flynn, who himself went on to be a complete bust after he got a nice contract from Seattle? What quarterback has McCarthy ever been responsible for creating? Rodgers? Rodgers is a freak of nature. Claiming responsibility for him would be like Dennis Green claiming responsibility for the career of Randy Moss. Moss is responsible for how good he is. Rodgers is responsible for how good he is. Tom Brady, as much as I love Belichick, is responsible for how good he is. All right? The whole thing about McCarthy being an offensive genius, a quarterback whisperer, etc., all that was a lie by the biased Packer media. And you know what it was? It was just one of those things It was a stupid thing that someone said originally. McCarthy, oh, he's a quarterback guru. It was just one of those things that was said one time and then was repeated by everyone else. You know, no one in that media circle can break away and have any opinions of their own. You do know that, right? Because they don't actually care about the truth. And here's a secret about how the media works. And I've worked in radio stations. I know how people are who are in it. I know the intentional bias that's out there in this state and all through the media, no matter what you're talking about. But most of the people in the media don't care if their opinions are accurate or not. They don't care if their readers, they don't care if you agree or disagree. You ever notice how they like to mock your everyday, normal, just average fans? They like to mock you because they feel that they are superior to you. And they don't care about what you think of their writing or what they have to say on TV or radio. This is what they worry about. They worry about what their peers think about them. You know, it's the same way that all the way through the media. This is how it works. It isn't just with Wisconsin sports reporters. This is at every level. People at CNN are worried what MSNBC thinks of them. MSNBC is worried about what people at ABC think of them. And that's how it goes. Journal Sentinel people are worried about what the folks at ESPN think of them. Folks at ESPN are worried about what the Wisconsin State Journal people think of them. And that's how these media biases and lies get hatched and then spread, like McCarthy being a genius or whatever else. It just gets repeated because it sounds good and no one wants to break the chain of what some idiot originally said. Because then they're looked down upon as not being quite as intelligent. To be a reporter, to be on the radio, to be a writer, to be on the television, to be on the Brewers, or I should say the Packers radio broadcast, you need to be a number of things. Number one, you must be biased toward that team. Number two, you must act with a certain air of intelligence as well, and that includes not overreacting. That includes not breaking the chain of something that somebody said, like McCarthy is a genius, McCarthy's a very good coach, McCarthy's a quarterback guru. You can't break that chain, otherwise you're laughed at as being, you're not as intelligent as these other people. And that's why we exist as a program, folks, and it's not for everyone. I understand that you do have to be a certain kind of fan. At any rate, I'm sorry for getting off topic and onto that, but back to the point. What is important that you know that the media, not just in this state but all over, is biased. And for the most part, it's for that reason. You come in already with an objective. You're not a reporter or a person in the media who really cares about the truth. You already come in with a preconceived idea of what you want and what your ideas are, and then you also are worried about what the other people in the media think of you. It's a very, very bad cycle, and it really does a disservice to the readers, the listeners, however you're consuming the media. It really does a disservice to the fans. Believe me, I know how this works. I've worked in it. I know how this works. I'm telling you. Anyway, back to the point. Here we are, many years later, through McCarthy, and still no backup quarterback. I've seen this one pop up enough times. Please don't tell me that you want Colin Kaepernick. No way in the world are the Packers bringing in that circus. No team that's serious about winning the Super Bowl is going to bring in the Colin Kaepernick circus. And he brought that on himself, by the way. Suing the NFL because of conspiracy to keep him out. He brought that on himself. Anyways, I'll be curious to see what happens. Boyle didn't get nearly as long of a look last week as Kaiser did, so I wonder if we'll see more of him tonight. It kind of felt to me like last week they saw everything that they needed to see out of Boyle. And if I had to make a prediction right now, I would say Boyle is the guy. And he should be the favorite, except for the fact that the Packers have more invested in Kaiser because of the fact that they had to trade a first-round pick to get him. We'll see what happens. We should have plenty to talk about on the show tomorrow after the Packer game. No Brewers tonight. You know, and besides quarterback position battle for the Packers, I guess we start watching the open competition at middle linebacker to take Oren Burke's spot while he's out. Summers last week had 10 or 11 tackles, so he'll be someone to watch. But there are a couple of guys in contention for that spot. So that'll be something to watch tonight as well. And we're also going to get the first look of the first team defense this year together and out there for more than a few plays. So hopefully the missed tackling issue was cleared up from last week. 24 is what LaFleur said he counted. 24 missed tackles. And I like the fact that he's paying attention and counting them. Admitting the problem, now all you got to do is fix it. Should be a good test night with another mobile quarterback, at least at the beginning, with Lamar Jackson. Oh, and did you know this? Robert Griffin III is still playing. RG3. He's questionable for tonight, naturally. But he's sitting behind Jackson in Baltimore. So, all right, that should be fun. We'll see. Thanks for listening to the short version of the Aaron Michael Show. News, notes, and commentary from the world of Wisconsin sports. We are alternative Wisconsin sports media. We are not biased. We are not afraid. And we'll be back tomorrow. Enjoy your Thursday night Packer preseason game.